everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to start our little golden book junk journal. And I went through this a couple weeks ago with you guys to show you what I plan on doing. I told you it was my template because my spine, the binding is not straight. I made myself a better template to work on that. And I always do a prototype before we start so that I can work out any kinks before I show you what I am doing. So I am going to go ahead and put this aside and we will get started. And first we'll go through what we need to do this. Here's my template. I used the We Are binding tool. It's, We Are memory keepers, and I measured the size of my spine for my book, and then I came up from the bottom, came down from the top, and then in the center did my binding. I've labeled top and bottom. You're going to need your spine. My spine is 1 3/4 inches by 8 inches, which your little golden book is 8 inches long. You're going to need the little golden book that you're going to use for this project. You're going to need something to tear your little golden book apart gently. I have a butter knife that I'm going to use to get the staples to come up on the golden book. You're going to need a pen or a pencil for marking. You're going to need scissors, of course. You need a bone folder. I have an edge rounder in case I need it, in case I decide in my design I want to use that, and that's totally up to you whether you use that or not. And then I have my needles and my silk thread for sewing the binding. I'm going to put that off to the side because we don't need that right now. I am using the I Love Christmas from Echo Park. It's a design by Lori Whitlock. I'm going to be using that because a lot of the stickers on the other side are very vintage children, which this is a baby's Christmas book and it's very vintage. It's got the candy canes, the gingerbread men, the drums, the bows, the gifts, the Christmas tree, the Santa, things that kind of remind you of a childhood Christmas. Also, it has very pretty papers that we'll use for our pocket papers and such inside. You're going to need a ruler. I have my art glitter glue if I need that. And you're going to need packing tape. I use packing tape in this. So the first thing we need to do is get our book carefully taken apart. And now little golden books are cut into 2 signatures. And try and find where they come apart. And I do 3 signatures in my books. I'm going to the back. I'm just going to go straight to the back to see if I can get these staples to kind of open up and pop out for me. I know some people cut off the design with the little golden books, and that's their signature. I do not want to cut that off. And that's why I have a different kind of spine. Other people do use spines, but they cut off that. And then they end up with a shorter book, and I do not want to cut my pages. I think that ruins the the vintageness of your book. You're altering it just way too much. Okay, getting there. Okay, so here we have the staples. I'm going to gently try and get my first signature out. And then the second signature out. Okay, so we have our signatures out, and we're going to set those aside. Now these, I am going to use a metal cutter to cut them off as flush with the book as I can. And I did that with the first book, but I still found that they kind of poked through the paper and were kind of pokey. So I didn't want to leave that there. And I'll show you what I did. I'm still going to cut them off. Okay, now, I already kind of tore a little there, but we're going to cut down the center of our book here. Okay. I'm just going to trim off this excess here. Has a little excess too. I'm going to just trim that off. I'm still keeping the integrity here. So what we're going to do next is I take a long piece of my packing tape. I'm going to turn this way. It'll be easier for me to work. I want it about the same size as my book. I cut mine a little longer. It's just easier for me to work with it. And what I do then is I go right along the edge of this book spine. And I place that down. Then you want this piece just a little ways away from it. Enough that you're not going to bind up when you open and close your book. Okay, so there. Then you're going to do the same thing with this. You're going to put a long piece on here. And again, I cut mine longer. I cut off the excess when I'm done putting them together here. So again, down along that binding, make sure your stuff is as straight as possible there. And next thing you want to do is make sure that your front and your back are the right side, that you're not hooking up wrong. And then put this one down. And there you have your book put back together with the spine. And then I take my scissors and I cut off the excess tape. All right, now these are still pokey even though I'm going to put a larger piece of cardstock in here to cover before I start my book. I still felt these through the cardstock. So what I do now is I take an X-Acto knife and I just make a slit. Staples are. And then use my pokey tool that can get under there better. There we go, got the first one. And then just press it flat down, the tape flat down, and you would have to look really, really close to even know that you had pulled those out. All right. So now we're going to put our center spine in, and I want to use white for that. So I have my Nina bright white, and so it's got to be 8 inches long, we know, but we're going to make it a little larger to go across these parts of the spine to help reinforce our book. So it is going to be 3 inches across. So we need to cut a 3 by 8 out of here. So our paper is 8.5 by 11, so logically we're going to go this way. And we're going to go 3 inches. By 8 inches. And this also is a Fiskars paper trimmer. I love this. All right. So I'm going to use my art glitter. Well, actually, I think I'm going to use my Sizzix long stick paper to do this. So I need my paper trimmer again, and I'm going to cut a 3-inch piece of this. and we're going to put it on our white cardstock. You also could use 150 pound if you wanted to cardstock for this, but I think this is just regular weight cardstock, the regular 65. I don't know if I would be more worried about it cracking if I had the other on it. Okay, I didn't line that up very well, but we'll put that on there. And I have another short piece from the other day. I'll put that down here. And then we're going to just trim off this excess here so that our book is not sticky in all the wrong places. We'll take our scissors and just trim that off. Okay, now we're going to take the stickiness off. Well, first let's burnish it down. It doesn't want to stay. So burnish it down onto your cardstock. All right. I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the very top here because not all of the sticky came off. And a little here in the middle where it wasn't quite long enough. And burnish it in place. Okay, we're going to let that set for a second. We're going to just gently find where that cardboard is. And we're going to push in a little bit where we're going to want it to bend. Okay, so we have our cover ready to go.